Okay. Hey YouTube, Kiriyama Sparta here, with my good friend Sarah.
Hello!
And yeah, thought we'd do something a little different as opposed to my other videos of random nerdiness. Of course we're going to get into comic book reviews, because, you know, that's natural. It's just evolution.
Yep.
So we thought we'd, well, we wanted to start off with, we're going to do the Watchmen prequels, the before Watchmen comics. We wanted to do them earlier, but we didn't. So now we've got about 10 comics to go through. We are going to go through them now periodically as they come out, but figured may as well get on this now, get the 10 out of the way. Yeah, it'll be fun. We hope, anyway. So, if you call yourself a self-respecting comic book nerd, you've had to have read this. I mean, that's just a given. I don't care if you didn't like it. I don't know how you couldn't, but if you didn't, you have to have at least read it. It's a very, very amazing comic. I mean, this is probably one of the best examples of the comic book medium. The story, everything is just perfect. And some of you might have just gotten into it because of the movie that came out in 2008.
I don't remember when that was.
I think it was 2008. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you'll correct me.
That's what the internet's for.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, due to the success of the movie, or just because, I don't know, DC couldn't think of anything else.
It's free money.
It's free money. We're getting a bunch of before Watchmen comics, a bunch of prequels. You know, I'm already well aware that, you know, old nerdom is in an uproar about it, but I'm still picking it up. I'm still reading them. I mean, worst comes to worst, if they end up not being that good, they're just not canon then. Just, you know, it's not that big a deal. I mean, I get the anger, but whatever. So we're going to go through everything that's come out so far, which is about 10 comics. And of course, due to the prequels, they're doing one for each character from Watchmen. So you got, there's Rorschach one, a Dr. Manhattan, Night Owl, Comedian, Silk Spectre, Ozymandias, and then the other one, which I was surprised about, was the Minutemen, which is of course the first group of superheroes before the Watchmen. So yeah, we're going to go through those. Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan have yet to come out so far. So
next couple weeks, though, I think.
Next couple weeks. Out. Yeah, because next week is Ozymandias 2, and then after that's Rorschach 1. And then we can finally get into those. The one I've been really looking forward to.
You and every other nerd out there.
Shut up, Rorschach's awesome. You can't deny it.
I didn't.
You can't.
I didn't.
And yes, believe it or not, she actually does know comic books. A girl that knows comic books, right? Yeah, you're a dying breed.
Yep.
Anyway. So, without further ado, we'll start off with Minutemen. So, Minutemen number 1. The basic story, of course, being a prequel and everything, is it's following, with the first comic, it's going into each member of the Minutemen, kind of how they got started, or just little snippets of each of them. And there is kind of an overarching story. It's about the first Night Owl's book coming out,
yep.
And basically he hasn't released it yet. He's just kind of gotten arguments with his editor over it so far at this point.
Whether or not to release it.
Whether or not to release it. Those are dogs.
Those are my dogs.
Those are her dogs. They ruined that take.
Yes.
No, they didn't. We'll keep going. So that's basically it. It goes into each individual character from Minutemen. And you know what? Honestly, this is a really good one. This was the first one that came out, and I thought it was off to a great start.
It definitely sucked you in.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. The art style, if you can't tell, is perfect for this.
Darwin Cook was the perfect choice for this one. It's perfect.
It's really, it's just really good. You know, the story's interesting. I did like the Minutemen and the Watchmen. I like the fact that we kind of get to go a bit more into each of them. You didn't find out too much. I mean, it's really amazing.
He had a lot to work with.
He did.
He could really do anything he wanted, and the direction he went is awesome.
He did. Yeah, it's perfect. I guess my favorite thing about this comic, probably the artwork. Love the artwork.
The artwork and the writing.
Artwork and the writing,
guy.
same guy. So, it's okay. So my favorite part is Darwin Cook of this. He's done a really good job. I don't think I have anything bad to say about the first one.
No complaints
it was off to a really great start. And then, this one more recently came out, we got Minutemen #2. Got a comedian there being pretty good. And it's, this one follows pretty much like just the Minutemen getting started.
Yeah.
They have, what was it, like tryouts in the paper?
Something like that.
Something like that.
The
There's like an ad in the paper to come join the Minutemen, and so you get to see some random other superheroes. I think there was one called the Whore or something
like that.
Something like that. It was pretty damn funny. And then once again, it's kind of following all of them, but it's mainly following the first Night Owl more than anything. You're kind of seeing the Minutemen through his eyes. That's like how the first comic book went. It's basically him explaining each of the characters. So once again, #2 still really, really good. I like how they're already hinting. Well, I think they already said it in Watchmen, but I like how they're hinting how much he likes the silhouette.
Yeah. That's
pretty good. Kind of just showing how the rest of them. It kind of reminded me of The Boys. Have you read The Boys? No. That's fair. That's fair. She's not that good at comics. Don't hurt me. But no, just the fact that like some of them, like I think the comedian says like, I vote we go get some more beer, like just sit around and drink beer, whereas like Silhouette and Night Owl actually want to go out and do stuff.
They really get into more of the secondary characters that weren't really mentioned that much in the first comic.
Yeah.
I mean, Watchmen, not these ones.
Not these ones, she means Watchmen.
It's cool seeing these characters come to life instead of just a name.
Yeah.
It's just tossed around in the comic.
Exactly. Like, I think the only thing I remembered about Mothman is he went crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's like all they really said about him. So, once again, Minutemen is still going strong. That's all that's been released so far from Minutemen. Then, the next series that started was Silk Spectre. And of course, being a prequel comic, it's really just following Silk Spectre just starting out. Like her mom pressuring her to work out more.
Just a regular high school kid trying to get by.
Exactly, yeah. Then occasionally she comes home and her mom dresses up in a balaclava and tries to assault her to get her ready to take on people like that. Yeah, it's just really good. It's a nice prequel story. She meets up with some random guy from her school. Some girl like fucking totally insults her at a diner and she beats the shit out of her. That was pretty good. And then she runs off with him at the end of the comic. Now the one thing I liked, and you mentioned it to me, and I really liked too, is you'll get little snippets of what Silk Spectre's thinking.
Little like teenage girl
fantasy bubbles, if you would. Like her mom picking her up, and then it'll cut to her head, and her mom's like fucking like the devil, driving off in some like hell vehicle. So it's pretty good. I really like it, and once again, yeah. What would you say is your favorite part about this comic so far?
I really like the art. I know Darwin Cook wrote it, which is also why it's so awesome. But the artist Amanda, she does such a good job in just making you feel like a kid again for a lot of them.
Yeah. I can see that.
And there's just a little teenage girl snippets of imagination. I love it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. I'd agree too. My favorite part about this is probably the art. With the first comic, I mean, it's good, but technically not a lot really happens. Really, she just throws a hissy fit and runs away. But it's still done very well. And then, of course, with that being said, we got Silk Spectre #2. That one is an also more recent one that just came out. Now, at this point, she's on her own. Her and her boyfriend, they've run off. And it actually kind of starts out, well, it starts out with her in her Silk Spectre costume. I think it's her first real time doing that. She's kind of cornered, but she ends up beating the shit out of a bunch of guys. So that was already off to a really great start. And once again, the artwork's just amazing in it. So after she beats up those guys, she bangs her boyfriend like 4 times in this comic. Like, Jesus.
She's a teenage girl.
I guess
trying a new toy. Right?
That's all you do, right? Yeah, you play with your toys. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like her starting off to become Silk Spectre, coming home like fucking 5 in the morning, just tired as shit. But once again, it's going in a good direction. It's doing exactly what a good prequel comic should do, just showing how the character starts off. And that's all I really wanted to see. The Rorschach one's not out yet, but if it's just Rorschach beating the shit out of people, I'm fine with that. That's perfect. That's exactly how that should work. So yeah, check it out. It's good. Then the one after that was The Comedian. I was super looking forward to this one because, of course, if you've read the comics, you know the Comedian's
crazy violent.
He's like basically the epitome of what people really are. Is what I like. He just really does whatever he wants. He kills, he fucks, he just does whatever he wants. And when, you know, of course, thinking that, you think you're going to have like a really good, dark story coming up. And of course, it's written by Brian Azzarello, who's probably my favorite comic book writer at the moment. He wrote my favorite Batman comic. I mean, Joker. Yeah. Brian Azzarello's Joker is hands down like my favorite comic. It's just too good. So coming in, this is it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Comedian one.
It's for me personally, it's too political. I didn't expect it to be that political. Not a lot happens.
Yeah, not really.
The first two, not a lot happens. It's all
the first one, it's
political
like
stuff.
It shows him like playing around with JFK's kids and like just playing ball and that. And then what's he do? Like goes to break up pretty much like a drug ring.
Something like that.
And in the middle of the drug ring breaking up, that's when the announcement comes out that of course JFK's been shot. Yeah. He's dead. Comedian finds a bottle of whiskey and immediately starts drinking.
With what's his name? That guy with the pointy ears.
Oh, Moloch.
Yes, Moloch. I was gonna say mollusk, but that wasn't
mollusk. Right. No, that's fair. Yeah, so he starts doing that. It was, yeah, I don't know. This one was just kind of, I mean, the artwork's still good. I mean, and this is one of the few ones. Some of them are going to a 6-part, while other ones are just 4 parts. Yep. They're only 4 comics. Minutemen's going to be a 6-part, as is this one, as is Ozymandias, and I think the rest are 4, which is a little disappointing for Rorschach, but whatever.
Good things come in small packages.
I guess they do. And then of course the Comedian number 2. Once again, it's very political. I mean, I don't know if it's just not my cup of tea or it's just not what I was expecting. Like, I mean, it's all right.
It's good for what it is.
It's good for what it is, but
just not quite what we were expecting. It is a lot more violent than the first one.
It's true.
A lot more violent, but still, it's too political.
Yeah, it's a bit. See, it's so like I just read this and I can barely even remember what happens in it.
Yeah.
I think it shows him in not Vietnam, or is that Vietnam?
Yeah,
it was Vietnam. Yeah, it shows some clips of him in Vietnam, of course, being the comedian, just murdering people and stuff. But even that's kind of downplayed. Like it's not that violent.
Well, there was a couple extremely violent scenes in it.
Well, there are a couple, but like every time I think that, I think of the movie, like him just torching people and stuff. It's a bit downplayed.
One big difference, I don't know if everyone watching this has read the comic, but in the movie, they allude to the fact that the comedian shot JFK.
That was an amazing scene, too.
And in the first comic, they show him being extremely upset by that. So that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I know they didn't mention that in the comic.
No, they didn't.
But it still threw me off just a little bit.
Yeah, so if you're going reading this and all you've really watched is the movie, that scene was thrown into the movie. Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing scene. It's a great Bob Dylan. I mean, that was perfect. But yeah, I guess in the comics, no, he did not shoot JFK. He wasn't even around there when JFK got shot. So once again, this is a 6-parter, so it's got the potential to pick up, yeah.
And I think it will. They're setting up a lot in these first 2, I think.
They are. That might even be it too, just a bit too much for
maybe.
Whatever. Then the next issue that came out, of course, Night Owl. Of course, it really should be Night Owl number 2, but whatever. And yeah, it's the first one really akins a lot to the Silk Spectre number 1 in the fact that it is just his origin story. It goes to Dan when he was a kid, being obsessed with Night Owl. He's like a huge fan, and he eventually does kind of figure out who Night Owl is, even breaks into his lair. Leaves him a message. I can't remember if he left him a message or Night Owl left him a message. He left the message.
Saying, meet me here.
He gets Night Owl to meet him in the park, and of course Night Owl's surprised that's an actual kid. And the kid just basically wants to become a sidekick, his partner. And it's actually pretty funny too, because like, he brought a gun. Yeah. He was ready to kill whoever found out he was Night Owl. So that was pretty good. And then yeah, it goes immediately from that to him being Night Owl number 2. Shows up, beats the shit out of a bunch of people. That was awesome. He just shows up on what's the name of his ship? It's the Pet Owl. Yes,
it's H something.
Yeah.
I think.
You'll correct us.
Yeah, I want to say hermaphrodite, but that's not right.
Hermaphrodite is so not that.
No.
It was Merlin's pet owl. That name. I don't remember the name, but I remember
you could
the
open
description.
it.
I could, but I'm not going to.
That's too much work.
I'm sticking with my convictions. So he shows up, beats the crap out of them, and then Rorschach shows up. He broke into his ship while he was fighting, and then you kind of get to start to see them becoming the team that they do, which was awesome. You get to see them go around, beat the shit out of a bunch of people, and yeah. For Night Owl, I'm loving Night Owl. I really enjoy Night Owl. The writing's great. The art's really good. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's really good. What was your favorite part about Night Owl?
I'm sad to say I don't remember as much of Night Owl as you do.
You don't?
I really liked it, but for some reason it's just not sticking in my memory.
Oh, fair enough.
I had to flip through it a little bit, and the interactions between him and Rorschach were awesome. They're so funny.
Oh yeah, because
it's nice seeing that interaction developing and their partnership.
Yeah, like I mean, their relationship in Watchmen was still awesome. You know, you can tell Rorschach's still really bitter about them not, well, about Dan quitting being a superhero, basically. That I think Rorschach even tries to make a joke in here. It's pretty funny. I like it. Yeah, so that one's good. And then of course, Night Owl #2 came out, and once again, it's awesome. It's still following. Well, it starts off following Rorschach and Night Owl being a team, beating up a bunch of crime syndicates, and they break into one, but it's already like the mafia boss there, whatever's been already taken out by Twilight Lady. I want to say her name is.
I don't remember. It's Twilight something.
Twilight something. They kind of allude to him and her having a past in Watchmen. But now you finally get to kind of see how it starts, and it's pretty awesome because they break in. Well, Night Owl breaks in, and she's standing there naked with a paddle,
a bloody paddle.
So that, and then the one part I actually kind of like is you kind of get to see Rorschach's opinion on that kind of shit. Because as soon as Rorschach walks in, he just immediately calls her a slut and a whore, and he goes like he's gonna beat the crap out of her.
They do flashbacks to his mother too.
Yeah, they do, and yeah, in the middle of that, they have flashbacks to, of course, his mother. At that point, him and Night Owl kind of have a little fight over it because Night Owl, of course, like throws him across the room for trying to beat her up. And then you get to see Rorschach go home, watching TV, and I think he watches that. It was like a bra commercial. It's a bra commercial, and then it starts reminding him of, like, he gets a bunch of flashbacks from his mom, and of course, if you read the comic books, mom was a prostitute, beat the shit out of him, so it's probably why he's not too big a fan of that kind of stuff. But about was it Kitty Genovese?
I don't know.
That whole the whole woman was beaten, and like a whole bunch of people watched it. She was beaten and killed, basically, and raped too, I think.
And she was a prostitute. She was a prostitute,
yeah. But like there was a whole bunch of people who watched it, and they did nothing, and that's kind of what made Rorschach not. I think he even says he just doesn't want to be part of the human race anymore. Yeah, he says to put on the
mask and stop being part of
everybody else because he can't stand people at that point, which is understandable. So that was awesome, and then it ends with Night Owl, of course, going back and meeting up with Twilight Lady. So #3 is probably going to be pretty good. Looking forward to it. Yeah, Night Owl, check it out. And then lastly, #2 comes out next week, this Wednesday coming up. So we only got Ozymandias #1. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't read Watchmen or seen the movie, he's technically the main bad guy. He's the villain, if you will. He orchestrates, depending which medium you have, he orchestrates New York getting attacked by aliens or the whole world being seemingly attacked by Dr. Manhattan to kind of bring everyone together against a common enemy. So I guess you could call him an anti-hero or something like that. But
he doesn't do it for evil.
He doesn't do it for evil purposes. He has a good goal, but you know that's how it gets in the whole argument thing. Like, doesn't matter if you had a good goal, you still killed people. You know, what is it? Is it Terminator? Or no, fucking Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Yeah. You know, kill one, save 1,000. Wanted. That kind of mentality he's got going on. So, Ozymandias #1 is the prequel. Exactly. It's just starting off showing how him as a baby was just ridiculously intelligent. Going through, like, there's that one scene where he gets beat up by a kid and he just like shatters his leg, like splits right out.
He gets beaten up a lot in school, takes taekwondo classes or something.
Something like that.
And then the next day shows up and beats the crap out of him.
Just, yeah, well, he doesn't instigate it, of course. The kid does, and he pays for it. And then, of course, it follows to his parents dying, his reactions to that, and then at that point, I think he kind of goes off on, like, kind of a finding yourself, if you will, kind of trip. It shows him, like, training with those monks. Like, there's one part who's, like, doing, like, one finger push-ups, which it's a little hokey. But then again, I guess next to Dr. Manhattan, he was the only one that was even close to being, like, superhuman out of all the Watchmen. I mean, the joke about Ozymandias was he could catch a bullet. And he does. So it follows through that, follows through him, that red-haired girl, like this is his first girlfriend. Yeah, Miranda. His first girlfriend, them just kind of starting off, and I think she kills herself.
Yeah, she ODs.
She ODs, right. Yeah, she ODs, and that, of course, just wrecks him, and then it shows him getting into his Ozymandias costume for the first time right at the end. So, I guess first thoughts are the artwork is super good.
It's beautiful.
I was surprised. Each, like, it doesn't feel like ink and marker or anything like that. It feels like each cell is like a painting. Yeah. And it works very well.
The coloring is gorgeous.
It's ridiculously good. You know, if you haven't seen, you know, I'm actually gonna take this one. Well, I gotta show them because it's pretty good. There's the one shot that I really love. Where is it? It's further back, of course. Okay, yeah, like just him standing in front of this kind of Sphinx thing with like blood that shot. Yeah, like that's beautiful. It's great artwork. You know, pretty basic story, but I'm intrigued. You know, I was never too big of a fan of Ozymandias. I was more of a fan of like his plan, like what his thought process was for all that, how he got to that point. But yeah, that's my favorite part about it. What have you been liking about Ozymandias?
The one, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I was never really a huge fan of Ozymandias.
Either, yeah.
Before this, but this has made me a fan. It's very wordy. Very wordy. There's a lot of words, and I found myself halfway through starting to, like, okay, get on with the point, I want to keep reading, but there's so much to take in. I am impatient. But it's part of who he is. I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But
I'd agree.
I loved it.
It is very wordy, but I'm okay with that. I mean, I still stuck with it and everything. So, you know, #2 comes out this week. It's off to a great start. I can't wait to see how it goes. And of course, with these 6-issue ones, I've got a bit more hope because they got a lot more time to get the story out. So that's everything that's out so far for Before Watchmen. I guess we'll just kind of go back and forth, and my favorite ones so far are Minutemen and Night Owl. Hands down, those are my favorite comics that they've released so far. I can't wait to read them more. What about you?
My favorite are Minutemen and the Silk Spectre ones. Just because the Silk Spectre ones just feel a lot more fun than some of the other ones do. Like, Comedian and Ozymandias are very serious, whereas Silk Spectre is more fun just because she is a teenage girl figuring out what she wants in the 70s and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Those are my two favorites.
I can see that. And then my least favorite one's gotta be Comedian. Yep. I'm not liking Comedian so far. Like I said, I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful that it'll get better, but at the moment it's just kind of...
very dry.
Very dry, yeah. So that's all the comics out so far. Thankfully, we've got a bunch more to go. We'll have another video shot next week. We're gonna. This one was a bit quicker than the next ones are going to be because the next ones there's a lot to go through for this one. The next ones will be focusing on each individual comic, so we'll probably give Ozymandias to like a good 5-minute discussion.
Which is what it deserves because there's so much going on.
There's so much going on, exactly. So yeah, as far as I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
My dog just farted. It stinks.
I'm just gonna do that. No, I'm just gonna breathe out my mouth. But yeah, so I think it's off to a great start. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, say what you will, if you don't like Before Watchmen and you don't like the idea of the prequel, that's fine. Don't read them. But I've been liking them.
They had a lot to work with.
They do.
They didn't give a lot of background on a lot of this stuff, and it's so cool seeing how these characters came to be. Especially in Minutemen, with the lesser known ones like Mothman and Silhouette.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool seeing those ones.
Yeah, like getting to find out Mothman needs to like basically get shit-faced every time before he flies because he's too scared to do it. like just little things like that. It's really good. So yeah, it's Kiriyama Sparta. We're gonna have more comic book reviews on the way. Not just Before Watchmen, of course. We're probably gonna break into some other ones. Maybe Suicide Squad.
It needs to be talked about.
She's a huge Harley Quinn fan, beat only by me. That's up for debate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have some more comic book reviews on the way. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like or subscribe button. It's always appreciated. We'll have some good comic book discussions on the way. Bye.
Bye.